Hi, everybody. This is Eric Molin with Impact Presenting, podcast episode 7. Today I'm speaking with Carlos Montanes from Madrid, Spain. Carlos is an ex-journalist and ex-crisis response officer who is now working in the world of public speaking, training, coaching for companies in reputation and crisis response management. Carlos has taken some time out of his busy day to share what he considers his top 5 tips for businesses in formulating a crisis response strategy. Good morning, Carlos. It's great to talk with you today, and I'm really happy that despite your location, you were able to take some time to speak with me and our listeners about this really extraordinary communication situation going on. You're an expert in crisis communications and crisis response, and you've got some experience as a journalist. Perhaps you could take a moment and just quickly introduce yourself and share some of your advice as an expert, what people need to be aware of in their communications in these extraordinary times.
Sure. Absolutely, Eric. Good morning to you all. Yes, as you said, I'm a senior global communications and crisis and reputation strategist and trainer, and also a public speaking coach. I've got over 20 years of experience. This includes PR, public speaking, storytelling, crisis communications. I have worked for private companies, medical societies, governments, political parties, and also the International Criminal Court. As a former reporter, I developed my career for Spanish media covering many crises, including terrorist attacks. And this experience has given me invaluable knowledge, which I now apply within the crisis communications field. Well, besides that, let's see the positive part about it. Yes. And let's talk about solutions in a crisis.
Advice for us today. Yes, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to give you 5 tips of advice you can take in a major crisis and what people expect you to do. I mean, remember that when you are in a crisis, this is not about you. This is not about you. This is not about how you feel. This is about your business or your organization sustainability. So this is about your reputation, building and maintaining an invincible brand through uncertainty. Mm-hmm. But above all, this is about your stakeholders, your clients, your providers, your employees. So I'm just going to give you.
I really like how you put that, to build an invincible brand that will get through this.
I mean, first of all, I mean, you need to, in a crisis, people expect to be notified. So you need to notify them, even if it's through an email or a call or a press conference. It will depend on the importance of these people. The second tip, and very important, is that people expect transparency. I mean, you have to communicate what you know for sure, and that are legally allowed to that you're legally allowed to disclose. If there are specific details that you have not yet confirmed or that you're not permitted to disclose, mm-hmm. and if you know that people have questions regarding these details or will demand answers, you just have to address your restrictions rather than avoiding or omitting them.
Okay.
Just be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, people probably will, when the crisis is over, they will not remember the exact words that you use. They will certainly remember how you treated them. Mm-hmm. And transparency is one of the most important things. Mm-hmm. Let me give you a third piece of advice, right?
Okay.
Just 3 more. You know, crisis people expect timely, consistent communication. I mean, you need to communicate in every certain time. I mean, however, the fact is that the longer you wait to communicate in a crisis, the more risk there is of the crisis spiraling out of control. And we don't want that to build an invincible brand. And the more you risk losing trust and credibility, this is about credibility. I mean, we have to avoid leaks and speculation. So you just have to communicate consistently and timely.
Okay.
A fourth one. I mean, people expect you to listen and validate their feelings and emotions, because we have to remember that within a crisis, this is about feelings and emotions. I mean, what I mean here is that, I mean, you need to communicate your actions, and they need to come from a place of heart and sincerity. I mean, you don't need to use, I mean, you have to avoid legal language. I mean, you have to be sincere. And sometimes you will probably need to show compassion and be ready to sincerely apologize when an apology is needed and it's merited. I mean, you need to do that. And the last thing I want the last tip I want to just to remark is that in a crisis, people expect the organization to hold itself accountable and responsible. I mean, if you have to hire someone and to fire someone because of his misconduct or whatever, I mean, do it, and you will have the respect of the people if it's someone that has not done the right thing. I mean, a lot of managers within a crisis, they seem to be reliable and someone that knows to take the right decision. But within a crisis, it's just behave like Mr. Bean. And we don't want Mr. Bean people there. I mean, because that's total chaos. I mean, those will be the most important.
That they're just running around and not bringing any value.
Exactly. That's what it usually happens. I mean, you've got like compelling people that just behave like Mr. Bean in a crisis situation. And we don't want that. We want reliable people.
So we'll say that's the takeaway message from your fifth tip. Don't be Mr. Bean, or don't have a Mr. Bean in your company.
Exactly. That will be it. Yeah. Be a leader.
I know that
show leadership.
So, Carlos, I promised in advance I wouldn't take up too much of your time. Really want to thank you for taking some time out of your day, especially with the situation there in Madrid being what it is, to share your top 5 tips with our listeners. And I look forward to collaborating with you further when the situation improves. Thanks a lot for that.
Well, thank you very much for letting me just share all these tips with you and with your audience, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Carlos.